Money isn't just what you earn, it's about what you control. Most people are trapped, never realizing there's more. True power belongs to those who own the systems, the assets, the businesses that generate wealth. Yet, most of us remain oblivious to these higher levels. We settle for the paycheck, never looking beyond. Today, we're tearing away that blindfold. We're finally uncovering how money genuinely works. From exchanging your time for cash, all the way to controlling entire financial ecosystems, there are 5 levels of ownership. Let's start with the most common level. You are the labor. Here, you directly exchange your time and skills for cash. It's your body, your hours, your paycheck. No work means no money. It's that direct of an exchange. This is what we call a jobs. This is active income, and it's the financial treadmill you're forced to stay on. Let's face it, most of us earn money one way, labor income. You exchange your time, your effort, your skills for a paycheck. Your work is essential, absolutely. No one's arguing that. But the actual product, the service, the profit it generates, that belongs entirely to the business owner. Understand this. You're selling your time. The company owns the brand, the customers, the means of production. You're just renting out your skills. You clock in, you put in the hours, you create massive value for a business. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That value isn't yours. The moment that product sells or the service is delivered, the profit belongs entirely to the owner. You just get your paycheck. Understand this. This is the brutal truth of employment. You trade your time, your skill, your effort for a wage. But what you create, it's never truly yours. The brand, the systems, the customer base, the company owns it all. Every last piece. You're essentially just renting out your hours. And here's the fundamental problem. With only so many hours in a day, and you only selling those hours, your income from a job hits a hard ceiling. It cannot be scaled. Let's be clear. Your employer owns the business, the brand, the customer relationships. They own everything your work creates. And you only own your skills. You're just renting out your time and expertise a few hours each day. A few hours each day! Here's the harsh truth. Your labor income has a hard, undeniable limit. You only have so many hours in a day, so much energy to give. You can hustle, get faster, be more efficient, but ultimately, you're still capped by your own time and energy. Of course, you can work longer hours, learn new skills, or chase a higher-paying job. You probably think those things will make a difference, right? But here's the kicker. None of that changes the fundamental structure. You're still paid only when your butt is in that chair. The moment you're not there, the work stops, the income stops, period. This isn't just about entry-level jobs. Even highly paid professionals grapple with this exact problem. Their income is directly tied to them showing up. Consider a top-tier consultant, a famous surgeon. If their income stops the moment they do, it's still just labor income. Sure, the pay might be higher, but the fundamental rule is the same. No work, no money. It's that straightforward. Think your job is secure? Think again. A bad economy slashes your hours, new tech emerges, and suddenly your entire role could disappear. Why are you always the first to feel the pinch? Because you don't control the company. You're not an asset. You're just an expense. And then there's taxes. Before your money even touches your bank account, the government's already taken their slice, leaving less for saving, less for investing. You're essentially trying to build wealth starting in the red, already behind. Look, having a job isn't the enemy here. For most of us, it's the crucial first step. You gain valuable skills, you learn the inner workings of an industry, and you earn that vital first income. But let's be honest, as an employee, you're just a cog in someone else's much bigger machine. You keep the gears turning, sure, but you have zero say in its growth or where all those profits actually end up. At the employee level, you're a cog in the machine. You keep it running, sure, but you don't decide where the profits go. You don't control its growth. Your income is chained to your time, your presence. Stop working, the money stops, period. But what if your money kept working without you? All right, level 2, you run the business. Your income isn't just your direct labor anymore. You own the engine, the system that produces the work. Your money now flows from the business itself, not just your 2 hands. You've shed the worker role. You are the owner. You might still jump in for some tasks, especially at first. Absolutely. But your main income, it comes from the business running, from customers buying. Buying! Forget just trading hours for cash. You need to own the asset, the system that generates your income. Your money flows from what you own, not just what your 2 hands can do. This is the pivot point. You shift from active laborer to asset owner. Sure, you might still contribute directly, especially early on, but that's no longer the main driver of your income, not even close. You earn because your investment exists, because it's generating value that people want. As the owner, you dictate the terms. You choose the assets, structure the deals, decide when to buy and when to sell. You cover the costs, platform fees, research, initial capital, overhead. After all that's handled, once those costs are paid, whatever remains, that's pure profit and it's all yours. This is the fundamental shift from level 1. Back then, you got paid and the system took what was left. At this level, the investment or business pays everyone else first. Then, you collect what remains. Business ownership, bigger risks, absolutely, but the upside is massive. You're no longer capped by a fixed salary. One slow month might cost you, but hit a gray one, your income skyrockets far beyond any traditional job. Your time isn't the ceiling, it's purely about how well your business operates. This is exactly where systems become critical. A truly well-run company doesn't rely on one person doing everything. It's built on rock-solid routines, clear schedules, and trained teams. It can generate revenue even when you're not there. The problem? Most owners get stuck. They own the business but still act like an employee, not the boss. They're always in the operations, never above them. Take a day off, sales plummet, get sick, and the whole business struggles. Most business owners are trapped in the grind, not above it. You step away for a second, and the whole thing crumbles. Before we continue, deal me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Catch a cold, and your entire operation grinds to a halt. You haven't built a business, you've just given yourself a fancier job title. Real business, a true system, runs itself. It functions even when you're not physically there every single day. Your team knows their roles, clients are served, and the core operations keep humming along without you. You're important, yes, but not essential for every single task. That unties your income from your constant personal grind. But let's be blunt, true ownership isn't just power, it's brutal responsibility. You are accountable for every single person, every single bill. Sales dip, you're still covering payroll and rent. When something goes sideways, the loss lands squarely on you. Ownership isn't just about control, it's total, undeniable accountability. And then, of course, there are taxes. You're not just paying on a paycheck, it's on business profits. Completely different roles, entirely different strategies. Think about it. Actual power. You deduct costs, reinvest profits. You dictate the entire flow of money. Now that's real control. A level of financial command. A salary simply can't deliver. Forget the employee mentality. Level 2 is building a true asset, something tangible, something with real worth. This isn't a job. Your business is an asset, one that grows, improves, and can eventually be sold. Think about that. You think owning your business is the peak? The real next level is owning more than just your core operation. Own the entire supply chain. Control the very resources your business relies on. Make no mistake, that takes a whole new level of skill and vision. You're done just running the shop. It's time to play in the big leagues. Stop just working in your business. Start owning the actual assets that fuel it. That's where the real money is. Your income won't come from just selling products or managing people anymore. Running a business? That's small thinking. We're talking real power here, owning the very ground it stands on. The third level? That's where you stop being a slave to your business. You start owning the critical assets that truly make it run. Your money won't come from grinding out sales or micromanaging your team anymore. It comes from owning the essential infrastructure others are forced to use just to operate. Real estate, patents, critical technology. These are the foundations you own. Let the business keep its ovens and shelves. You own the entire damn building. Here's the game-changing truth. Your income source shifts entirely. It's no longer about pushing products or micromanaging teams. This is where you gain power. You own the vital assets others must use. Imagine the underlying technology, the prime real estate, or the core infrastructure. They can own the product, the inventory, but you control the underlying property, the patents, the absolutely essential systems. That core asset? It's rock solid. It holds its value whether their business is booming or crashing. Your entire relationship with work transforms. You're completely out of the daily grind, free from all those operational headaches. No more stressing over hiring or chasing sales. Your one job is to own that asset, then simply collect what others pay to use it. Here's the ultimate advantage. Your income gets paid before they see a single dollar of profit. Exactly. They pay for using your asset every single time, long before the business owner ever sees their own profit. Income from ownership is a financial superpower. Think of it like collecting rent. You get your money before anyone else in that business even makes a profit. Every business, large or small, must cover its core costs. Like space, long before the owner ever sees a single dime of profit. Being the asset owner, that instantly slingshots you up the financial food chain. Call I. No more waiting for leftovers. You're positioned right at the source of consistent, stable income. Here's the freedom. Owning the asset means your income is never tied to one single business's success or failure. One tenant could go under tomorrow, but another will always step in. The asset itself relentlessly generates income. Logo splash, products vanish, but a solid asset, that building, it endures. As long as that asset maintains its value and utility, it continues to reliably churn out income. Here's the brutal truth. Asset ownership delivers far more stability than the roller coaster of running an operating business. Businesses will always come and go, but solid assets, they stand the test of time. A business can crash and burn, sure, but the need for its space, that never dies. A prime commercial spot isn't tied to one failing venture. It serves countless more. Here's the critical difference. The heavy lifting is all up front. You find it, you buy it, you manage the leaders. Once that foundation is built, the income just rolls in. That's a passive stream, not the daily grind of running a business yourself. Forget the endless hustle. This isn't about working yourself ragged. It's about smart upkeep and strategic, patient growth. Want the real game changer? It's how value grows over time. An active business lives and dies by its daily sales figures every single day. But real estate pays you twice. First, you get that consistent rent check every single month without fail. Second, the property itself builds serious value. As the area improves, demand surges, or prices naturally climb. That's true wealth creation. Oh! How do most people earn their money? It's from their day job, right? That's active income. But that's where owning assets changes everything. Take real estate, for example. It consistently generates monthly income, pure cash flow, directly to your pocket. And the best part? That exact same asset also appreciates in value over time. You're building wealth from two powerful streams, all from a single source. That's two compounding ways to build serious wealth, not just one. Starting to understand the leverage here? Now let's talk about risk, because that changes drastically too. If your business crashes, your income doesn't just dip, it vanishes. Everything you built, gone. But if you own an investment property, for instance, you might face a vacancy. Your cash flow might pause for a month or two. The key is, the asset itself is still there. Its underlying value often recovers, sometimes even skyrockets. You certainly haven't lost everything. Assets have a remarkable ability to bounce back over time. Failed businesses, on the other hand, they often simply vanish, taking every penny of your capital right along with them. And here's another game changer. When you transition to owning assets, the entire tax landscape shifts. You're suddenly playing by a completely different and far more advantageous set of rules. Let's face it, the tax rules are absolutely rigged, especially once you hit a certain level of wealth. Your income from investments and assets, it's often treated with kid gloves, while your hard-earned paycheck gets hammered. Maintenance, repairs, even the interest on your loans, all can often be written off as juicy deductions. And as your assets explode in value, you could pay far less tax or even push it off for years. This hands the asset owner a monumental advantage over anyone just grinding for a salary. Unfair? Absolutely, but it's also your reality. Here's the secret. You absolutely do not need to be an industry expert to own the companies within it. This is where the game changes. Your specialized skill stops being the only driver of your wealth. Wide off, then you ascend to level 4, owning a true investment portfolio. This isn't just one thing. You're building a diversified arsenal of assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, even entire businesses. They're strategically diversified across sectors and geographies, creating not just income, but multiple, resilient streams of wealth. You diversify your investments, spreading your capital across different assets. Each one then starts bringing in its own returns. Together, they build a solid, steady stream of income. But what happens when you're banking on just one investment? One problem with that single asset can absolutely decimate your income. Gone. But when you diversify across many different things, those individual problems are practically swallowed whole. One bad investment won't derail you. Not when you have many others still performing well. This completely shifts how you perceive risk, because a single failure at lower levels can stop everything cold. But at the portfolio level, those individual setbacks simply get absorbed by the entire system. The entire system becomes rock solid. It's not dependent on one single asset, not on one company, or even just one market. And your role in all this, that shifts too. You're not micromanaging every single investment day in and day out. That detailed day-to-day management, that's not your job. Your managers, your contractors, the companies you hire, they handle that. Your job at this level is pure strategy. You dictate what investments to buy, what to keep, when to sell, and how the entire portfolio should grow over time. Ownership itself, you'll find, becomes far more abstract. You're past tracking every single stock. You're not bogged down knowing every micro detail. No more micromanaging. What truly matters is the total aggregated performance of your entire portfolio. Instead, you track the big numbers: overall income, expenses, efficiency, and long-term value growth. Want a real game changer? Diversified assets unlock far better opportunities. Investors with them get preferential treatment. Lenders, partners, institutions, they treat you differently. Suddenly, borrowing becomes easier and much cheaper. Why? Simple. Risk is spread, and that allows your portfolio to expand exponentially faster than ever before. Faster than any single investment ever could. Plus, at this level, your income becomes significantly more predictable. Diversifying your investments means individual returns might bounce around, but your overall income, that gets dramatically more stable. There's no secret formula here. Stable income means easier financial planning and a massive reduction in dependence on any one investment. So you think this is peak wealth management? Think again. There's an even higher level, the absolute highest level. That's when you own the companies that own other companies. At this elite tier of ownership, you're no longer directly managing individual properties or businesses. Instead, you own the entire investment structures, the funds, the holding companies. Your income is all about strategic control. This is about high-level capital allocation and pure scale. You're not tied to day-to-day operations or even managing a single business. You've moved past owning individual assets. Your focus is now on owning the entities that aggregate them. Imagine owning a holding company or a diversified fund that controls entire portfolios of businesses and real estate. The nitty-gritty of buying, managing, and selling, that's handled by others. You, Toni, are dictating the overarching strategy. It's not just about earning, it's about commanding capital and controlling its deployment. This advanced investing approach exists precisely because managing countless assets becomes incredibly complex. You simply can't have one person making every decision. The solution? You put your ownership inside a pooled investment structure. And this isn't just smart, it's essential. This structure combines massive capital, dramatically spreads risk, and operates at a far larger scale any individual investor could ever dream of managing. At this level, your role fundamentally changes. You're no longer picking individual stocks or managing properties. Forget that. Your role is now to set the grand rules. You dictate the strategy, the limits, and the ultimate goals. You're in command. You decide exactly what types of assets the fund can own, how much risk it can take, and how those returns are finally shared. What's even better, here, you're completely removed from the day-to-day operations. Other experts handle the business. Other entities own the underlying assets. Someone else manages the portfolio. It's a clear chain. The fund owns the portfolio, and you own the fund. Yes, each layer takes a small share, but the magic is in the sheer scale. That small share, multiplied across the entire operation, makes the outcome absolutely massive. You see the businesses, the storefronts, everything you buy, but you're only looking at the tip of the iceberg. Behind those businesses, invisible layers of ownership, complex structures designed to hide the true power. The more powerful, the less visible it gets. At this level, the tax and legal rules are a world away from what you know. These structures, they're built for pure capital mobility. Profits can be reinvested, deferred, or distributed in ways that simply aren't on your radar. These are not options available to those at the bottom. Here's the brutal truth. The rules are always rigged. They favor those who own the structure, never those who just work within it. This is the ultimate level, the absolute top. You're not just owning assets, you're owning the rules of ownership itself. Reach this level, and you're not just participating in the economy, you're shaping the rules. You're dictating the game others play. This isn't an end game. This is the end game, the absolute peak. Because true power, it's controlling the ones who make the rules. You're not just participating in the economy anymore. You're the architect. You're shaping the very systems everyone else plays by. That's it for now. The truth rarely is easy to swallow, but ignoring it costs you. Until next time, think about that. No more excuses. It's time to build something real or watch your future slip away.